Hi, I'm Darby with Violin and You, and today we will be working on the first 8 measures of Martini Gavotte. So let's get started. All right, so if you have not already learned it from book 2, this piece will expose your crooked bow. So the one thing that you need to learn in this piece is going to be having a straight bow. And that may take some time. So that's why I'm only doing 8 measures. So the 8 measures may take you more than a week. It may take you 3 weeks if that is a major struggle for you. So we are going to start off really slow. This theme happens over and over and over again throughout this entire piece. It just keeps repeating, it brings back something new, and then it has this theme again. So we are gonna go ultra slow, tempo-wise, and then I'm also going to be very particular on what your bow arm is doing. So in the first 2 notes, you have a staccato and a staccato. It's a quarter note and a quarter note. So you're gonna start at the tip, you're gonna go to the middle with the first note, and then you're gonna go all the way down to the frog. So it is a fast bow motion per note, but you're gonna have a stop in between. So it's gonna look like this. All right, and with those 2 notes, we wanna make sure we have a straight bow. So how do we achieve that? Number 1, memorize the notes. So the first note is a first finger B, the second note is a second finger C natural. So it's a low 2. Number 2, eyes need to be on your string. That's not all, but those are the first 2 steps. So we're gonna try that again, and we're gonna start at the tip, and you have your notes memorized. So B, C, ready, go, and. Right? Now, what we're gonna do is concentrate on bending our wrist at the halfway point. So from your tip to the middle, we don't have to bend our wrist. Your arm is semi at a 90-degree angle here. Wrist is straight. When you hit the midway point, that's when you need to start bending your wrist. Pinky needs to be curved. So at this point, you're gonna go up, and I'm doing a slow motion. Wrist needs to be bending all the way to the frog. A lot of reasons why people are afraid of the frog is because they play down here the whole time. It's easier to have a good sound. It's not scratchy, especially if you're in tune with your left hand. But in order to get to the frog, you need to bend your wrist. The other thing is you have to turn out your bow toward the fingerboard. Some people continue, even though they're bending their wrist, the bow looks like this, which is still crooked. It's going behind my head right now. So I have to turn my bow out toward the fingerboard in the opposite direction. So that's something to really be practicing on. For those of you who are struggling with a straight bow on the up bow, you may only play 2 or 3 notes in this piece, and that is okay. So that is my advice about the straight bow. So we're gonna go on. So we have the first 2 notes, and I'm gonna say 1 and 2 and. Now right here, it's a slur. There is no dots above these notes. But for exercise purposes, I am gonna put a slight break in between just to show you what you need to be doing. So you're gonna place 3rd finger D to the halfway point, and then here you're gonna drop your elbow to E string. We do not wanna have our elbow out like this on the E string. So you're gonna drop your elbow and place 2nd finger G. All right, so let's play the first 2 notes of measure 1. Remember, the very first 2 notes of the piece does not count as a measure. So measure 1 is the D and the G. All right, so we're starting in measure 1. I'm gonna go ahead and play it. right? And let's play it together. Ready, go, and drop your elbow. Good job. At the halfway point, go to the G. We want a slow, slow bow here. Ready, and. Good. Tip your bow back to A string, and we're going to do a whole bow all the way up to the frog. So it's a fast bow. Watch me first. So whole bow, half, half, slow. Right? So let's go from the very beginning. 1 and 2 and. Drop. Whole bow. Excellent job. Good job. If you notice on measure 1, beat 3, on the whole bow, that is a fast bow motion. You do need to turn your bow out that way on the up bow. So what we don't want is this. You don't want your bow going behind your head. So that's something that you can look in the mirror. You can turn your head and look and see if you can still see your tip. If you can't see your tip, then that means it's behind your head. Okay. The other thing to think about is when your ear starts developing, when you are able to hear yourself, you can hear yourself scratching, you can hear yourself not have what's called a clear tone. It's not the clearest tone. There may be kind of a fuzzy sound. That means that the bow is crooked. It means that the bow is not completely straight. Maybe it's too close to the bridge. Maybe you're playing over the fingerboard. So there are many different reasons why it could be scratchy or not clear, and those are just a few of the reasons. But those are the most common reasons that I see. So especially in this piece, remember at the beginning of this video, I said it reveals a lot. So what it reveals is whether or not your bow is straight, where it's located. So let's start from the very beginning again. Okay. 1 and 2 and. Drop. Fast. Short. Slow. All right. Now we've come to an accent and it's on E string. So we have to drop our elbow and we're going to move our bow fast, slow. So it's going to look like this. So at the very beginning, I'm going to go fast and then I immediately slow down and then I'm going to do half, half. So I'm going to do a fast, slow bow motion on the accent. And then I'm going to tip my bow to the A string. I'm going to do the same thing, fast, slow. Half. And then slur. So I'm going to go fast and then slow on open D. So it's going to do a natural diminuendo. All right, so let's start up bow on our accent in measure 2. And I'm going to count you out. 1 and 2 and. Fast, slow. And you should end at the tip. Very good. Look at your bow and make sure that it's straight and that your bow isn't here. This is where we don't want it. So look where my elbow is. My elbow's kind of behind me. You want to have your hand out in front of you and your hand should line up with the bridge. So this is kind of like geometry. where you have to be able to see different angles. You want your hand out in front of me. So right here, see how my hand is in front of my violin and then my bow is crooked? So my hand has to be out here in alignment with the bridge still. And then that means that it's going to be straight. So that's another way that you can see if your bow is straight. Hi, I'm Darby with Violin and You, and I'm here to talk to you just a little bit about lessons. Now, if you are a orchestra student, middle school or high school, and you are learning Martini Gavotte, just for fun, or you were curious about it, that's great, and I hope that you benefited from this video today. Violin lessons are expensive. When you go out into the community and you Google it and you look for a teacher or recommendation, they could be upwards to over $100 a month. And sometimes that's a little too much for people. And as we know in orchestra class, that it can be competitive, and to move ahead, there are certain skills that you do need and that your orchestra teacher has taught, but maybe you need a little bit of extra assistance and guidance for you personally. And that's what Violin and You comes into play, that we at Violin and You want to make it economical for everyone, that there is a form of investment into violin playing. One, there's a small monetary investment. We are only charging $39 a month, so it's a crazy price. Just $39 a month for all access pass, for everything. I drop videos weekly into Violin and You. An entire course is considered an entire piece, which means you get the preparatory exercises, bow exercises, and the scale, any kind of other exercises that pertain to the piece, and then step-by-step through the piece. And when I talk about step-by-step, hopefully you get a good idea with these free videos that I'm not only going through every single note and how to play every single note, the rhythm and the intonation, but also what to look for with your bow arm. What should you be doing? What should you be doing with your left hand? We talk about posture. We talk about intonation. If there's anything that's sticking out as far as rhythm goes, I break that down as well, because I want you to be successful in other pieces of music. So these are all skills that I would be teaching my own private students in studio, here at my studio. And I'm trying to give that to you. So you, as the student, you have several jobs. You have to show up every day to practice. You practice with a metronome and a tuner, and you use those regularly in your practice, because we need guides, we need things to help us understand if we're on track. And those tools, those very simple tools, help us know as musicians if we're in tune and if we're with the beat. And as a violinist, it's very, very important to be able to play as an ensemble, or you're playing with other people. And that's what I'm trying to teach here at Violin and You. Again, I am really, really wanting everyone who is a young violinist to be able to afford lessons, and that's why it's priced so low for everything. And this is for a lifetime, so it's for as long as you're paying the monthly fee. I'm going to be dropping weekly tons and tons of material. So it could be a course a week, it could be videos for games, it could be videos for scales. So I have a lot of really great ideas up in here that I need to put out on camera for you, but it will be coming out, and I'm so excited to be sharing this with you, and I hope you will join me in your violin journey. And even if there's a teacher out there, if you are a teacher and you want me to come to your class, and you live in the greater Houston area, I would love, love, love to come to your school and teach your students. I do that on a regular basis as a clinician in multiple different school districts. in the greater Houston area, and I perform all over as a performing musician on the weekends. So I'm constantly in rehearsal, or I'm in performances, but I also teach hundreds of children, and I have my own private studio here at my own house. But again, I'm wanting to teach as many people as possible, and I feel like this is valuable information that can't be contained here just in my studio, that I want to give that back into the community and to make it affordable for you. So if this sounds like something that works for you, then absolutely we want to invite you into the All Access Pass. And I hope you will join me then and enjoy future videos. And remember to keep practicing. Let's start all the way back to the beginning. We're going to start at the tip. 1 and 2 and. Fast, slow. Excellent job. All right, one mistake that people do with the accents is that it's too forceful. So what we don't want is this. See how that's too hard? So we just want it at the beginning of the note. We just want a little nudge. Kind of like if you have a ball and you kind of want to lightly kick it. You don't want it to go clear across the street or anything. You just want to get it out of your way. So that's kind of like what this is. You just want to get the note out of the way, but you don't want to kick it so hard that it goes really, really far. Okay, so let's try it again. You're either doing a couple things. You're watching your bow, bending your wrist, making sure that pinky is curved, looking at your down bows, making sure that your hand is in front of you, not behind, and or thinking about your accents, that they're not too hard. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and start again. 1 and 2 and. Excellent job. All right, the next part is going to be just like the beginning, except has a different ending. Okay, let's do, I'm going to count you out. We are now in measure 4. So I'm on beat 3 of measure 4. So I'm going to say 1 and 2 and. Excellent job. The only different part was in measure 7. Okay, let's start all the way back, all the way back to the beginning. 1 and 2 and. Excellent job today. All right, great job working on your bowing. I know that it takes a lot of concentration. Everybody has their own things that they're working on, and that's okay. Remember, you don't have to get done with this in a week. There's a lot to concentrate on here, making sure that your bow is really, really straight, and using those accents and not pushing the bow too hard is a skill that sometimes you have to practice a couple times, and that's okay too. Thank you for joining me today, and I hope you'll join me next time. And remember to keep practicing.